Things like this usually don't happen in a community like ours. It's very tragic.
Investigators release autopsy reports today for 8 members of an Ohio family killed execution style.
We begin tonight with a deadline that has passed for the mother of 2 missing children from Rexburg.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amanda. In today's video, we are going to be discussing the death of 14-year-old Mary Ellen Deener, whose life was tragically taken by Lester Eubanks. There's been some recent discussions about this case, so I wanted to go over them with you. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Both are free ways that really help me out as we get closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers. First, as always, I wanted to talk about the victim in this case, Mary Ellen Deener. Mary Ellen was born in Memphis, Tennessee on July 27, 1961 and moved to Mansfield, Ohio as an infant where she lived for the next 13 years. She was a member of the Temple of Faith Church of God in Christ and had 5 sisters and 3 brothers. She attended John Simpson's Junior High School, and according to her mother, she wanted to become a nun because she believed it would allow her to be the most service to people. Although she was not Catholic, Mary Ellen had a strong desire to convert and pursue that calling. As a 9th grade student, she was active in school life, an AB student, a member of the newspaper staff, and part of the Glee Club. She was also set to be an office monitor. Her mother shared that Mary Ellen had also considered becoming a lab technician for a year or so before entering the convent. So like I said, we're in Mansfield, Ohio, around 11:30 p.m. on November 14th, 1966. 14-year-old Mary Ellen and her 12-year-old sister Brenda took a cab to a self-service laundromat to finish some laundry after their dryer at home had stopped working. Their mother later said that she felt safe sending them because their grandmother, her own mother, lived right next door to the laundromat. When the girls were out of change, Mary Ellen told Brenda to wait there while she went to get more. She first went to a nearby gas station, but they couldn't provide change, so she returned to the laundromat and told her sister that she was going to try another one real close on Mulberry. She assured Brenda that she would be right back. When Mary Ellen didn't return, Brenda went to their grandmother's house to raise the alarm. Her grandmother called her daughter to let her know what was happening and then began walking towards the laundromat. Just a short distance before her destination, she came upon a police presence and a crowd gathered around a vacant home north of a laundromat. It was later learned that a body had been found on the sidewalk near the vacant home at 12:49 a.m. When she arrived on scene, Mary Ellen's grandmother told police that her granddaughter was missing. Officers then asked her to view the body for identification, and she confirmed that it was, in fact, 14-year-old Mary Ellen. It appeared Mary Ellen had been shot twice, once in the right side of the chest and once in the abdomen with a .32 caliber pistol. Then she was beaten with a blunt force object. Next to her body, police found a handful of dimes and nickels. From there, investigators spoke with witnesses searching the area, and they brought in several people for interviews. A break would come in the case when they checked recent gun purchases and learned that Lester Eubanks had recently purchased a .32 caliber pistol. Police contacted 22-year-old Lester Eubanks, a former Air Force medic, and asked him to come down to the station, which he arrived without issue around 5:45 p.m. that same day. Now, at the same time that Eubanks came in, police were searching the area and they recovered his .32 caliber pistol. The serial number on that pistol matched the one that he had purchased. While Eubanks was at the police station, he confessed to seeing Mary Ellen walking, grabbing her, and then dragged her behind a vacant home where he attempted to R-word her. When she screamed, he shot her twice and left her for dead. However, Eubanks lived in the area, and about 45 minutes later, he said he returned to the scene after hearing her faint cries. According to his own statement, he then beat her in the head with a brick. He was, of course, arrested and charged with 2 counts, first-degree murder and murder while attempting the R-word. Eubanks pled not guilty and waived his right to a preliminary hearing. He was indicted by a grand jury 3 days later. It was revealed to the public that Lester Edward Eubanks had a history of trouble with the law. At the time he killed Mary Ellen, he was actually out on bond. Just weeks earlier, on September 29th, he had been indicted by a grand jury and arraigned on October 15th for attacking an 18-year-old waitress. He pled not guilty to that charge and was released on a $5,000 bond, which would be equivalent to just over $50,000 today. On December 24, 1959, Eubanks was also arrested in juvenile court on a charge of assaulting a 12-year-old girl on Miller Street just 3 days earlier. He was 16 at this time and attempted to grabbing the girl, knocking her down, and when she bit his hand, he let her go and fled. He was arrested and was found to have a 4.5-inch blade on him. Eubanks was placed on probation for this crime until his 18th birthday and was turned over to his father. As part of these terms, he was not allowed to be out after dark unless accompanied by an adult, and during this time, he also admitted to police that on October 29, 1959, after a high school dance, he grabbed another small girl near Johns Avenue but released her when she screamed. This seems like a pattern, and it's clear that Eubanks has a long history of predatory behavior. In Mary Ellen's case, he would eventually enter a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. In December of 1965, he was sent to the Lima State Hospital for evaluation. By February 1966, he was deemed sane and ready to stand trial. His trial was scheduled and set to last 3 weeks, with numerous witnesses testifying for both the prosecution and the defense. One of the witnesses was an 18-year-old waitress that Eubanks had been out on bond for assaulting at the time that Mary Ellen was murdered. She testified that around 11:30 p.m., Eubanks came into her workplace, a food establishment, and ordered coffee and shrimp. She went to the back to drop the shrimp order, and while there, she saw Eubanks approaching her and attempting to make small talk. As she tried to walk past him to return to the front, he grabbed her and began choking her until she passed out. Also taking the stand was a crime lab analyst who testified that the gun used in Mary Ellen's murder had been pressed directly against her body when fired, and he also stated that blood stains found on her clothing as well as on a paving brick recovered from the scene matched Eubanks' left shoe. The serial number on the gun found in the abandoned home, like I said, matched the one that Eubanks had previously purchased, putting him at the scene. Now, for the defense, Eubanks took the stand himself, focusing primarily on pointing out on what he claimed were issues with his written statement when he confessed to police. His testimony lasted about 9 hours in total, and according to the local paper, he maintained that killing Mary was a mistake and not premeditated. The defense would also call some additional witnesses, including 2 people who had lunch with Eubanks after church the day following Mary Ellen's death. They also brought a family physician and a Mansfield psychiatrist who testified that he had diagnosed Eubanks with a mental condition called character neurosis. He stated that he first diagnosed Eubanks with this after he was interviewed in 1959 when he was placed on probation, and again a month before this trial. Now, according to Merriam-Webster, character neurosis is a personality disturbance in which character traits are thought to be the functional equivalent of neurotic symptoms. The jury deliberated for 10 hours before concluding that Eubanks killed Mary Ellen while attempting to commit the R word. Because of finding that, he was automatically convicted of both counts of first-degree murder and murder while attempting to commit the R word. 12-person jury refused to make a recommendation for mercy, which under Ohio criminal law at the time made the death penalty mandatory. As a result, Eubanks was sentenced to death by electric chair at the end of his trial in May 1966. His execution date was set for October 27th. Now, following his conviction, Eubanks' Queen-appointed defense lawyer spoke to the local news, stating they would be filing a motion for a new trial. However, he also stated that as far as he was concerned, the task of defending Eubanks was complete. He was also quoted saying, "As I understand it, the strange thing about Ohio law is that it makes no allowance for counsel fees for appealing an indigent person's conviction. The law only allows fees for the original defense of an indigent person." In other words, it would be up to Eubanks' family to decide how to proceed from there. And how wild is that? If a person doesn't have enough money, then they can't appeal their conviction with a death penalty sentence? I mean, I have to imagine that the law has changed by now, but I can't, that shit blows my mind. And although Eubanks was beyond guilty, the process should be fair across the board, should be consistent with everybody, especially when a person's life is on the line. In this case, it seems like his family was able to work something out because a few stays were granted to allow more time for an appeal. Then in 1972, the death penalty was returned across the United States, and his sentence was commuted to life in prison. Now, once Eubanks' sentence was changed to life in prison, this opened the door for him to take part in an Ohio prison system for rehabilitation activities. Some inmates were allowed to attend football games, others were allowed to go to the Ohio State Fair, and some were even permitted to go shopping. On December 7, 1973, Eubanks and 3 other inmates were dropped off at the Great Southern Mall outside of Columbus, Ohio. The 4 were scheduled to be picked up at a set time by officers, but unsurprisingly, Eubanks never showed. According to the Department of Corrections, he was considered an honor prisoner at this time, and that's why he was allowed to go on this field trip. The warrant for his escape was issued that very same day out of Ohio. Only after this incident, though, did the Department of Corrections announce that inmates would no longer be allowed to go shopping unattended. I'm shocked that they could do that before. Now, after only serving 6 years for Mary Ellen's death, Eubanks was on the run. Police had little information about his whereabouts, from my understanding, until an Unsolved Mysteries episode was aired on the case in 1994. Following that broadcast, a woman came forward and provided more details to investigators that they did not have before. According to that woman, who was a widow of Eubanks' cousin, she had been pen pals with Eubanks while he was in prison, and said that after his escape, he stayed in California with her for some time. Eventually, she got tired of his bullying behavior and told him that the FBI had been around asking questions about him. After that, he fled and has not been seen by her since. During that time period, there were reports that he used the alias Victor Young. He has also been known to use the names Pete Eubanks and Lester William Eubanks. It's reported that after escaping, Eubanks initially hid in Detroit, Michigan before taking a Greyhound bus to California, where he stayed with his cousin's widow. He may have been working as a janitor at St. Francis Medical Center in Linwood, California in the 1980s or the 1990s. Police also believe that Eubanks' father, Reverend Moses Eubanks, knew his son's whereabouts and would take phone calls from him. Investigators tapped the Reverend's phone and traced calls to a treatment center out of Alabama, but unfortunately Eubanks' father passed away in 2012. Now, the case stayed relatively quiet for many years until around 2015-2016, when the U.S. Marshals Cold Case Unit began working on it, hoping that new evidence might finally make an arrest. On December 7, 2018, exactly 45 years after Eubanks' escape, he was officially added to the U.S. Marshals' top 15 most wanted fugitives list, with a $50,000 reward for information leading to his capture. In August 2019, an age-progressed photo was released to show what he might look like then. There still is no word on where Eubanks might be, which has to be devastating for Mary Ellen's family. I mean, he only served 6 years. That just blows my mind. Mary Ellen's sister Myrtle has said that their mother, plagued by guilt, died of a broken heart. One of the U.S. Marshals who took over the case in 2015 has stated that he was convinced Eubanks is married with children who have no idea that he's an escaped convict. As for the 2025 update, if still alive, Lester Eubanks would be 81 years old. The U.S. Marshals have announced that they were able to extract DNA from clothing Eubanks wore the night he murdered Mary Ellen, and that DNA has been entered into CODIS. As a reminder, they noted two distinctive physical features: a 1.5-inch round scar on his right upper arm, and then a 3-inch scar on the same arm. He is left-handed and a very talented artist. The U.S. Marshals have stated that they will not rest until the case is closed. Anyone with information about Lester Edward Eubanks is urged to contact 1-800-WANTED-2. I hope that at some point there are some answers about what happened to him, especially after escaping during a public outing. It just blows my mind. I know we've come so far from 1973, but again, just someone who a year ago was on death row is now able to go shopping among other people. I can't imagine how this was allowed to happen, but I'm thankful that this kind of release is no longer offered to serious violent offenders. Now, if you've made it this far into the video, I do want to thank you. I truly appreciate all of you, and to those who have left such positive comments, they really mean a lot to me. If there's any cases you would like me to discuss, please let me know in the comments below. But that's it for me today. Until the next video, stay safe out there. The world's an ugly place.